Hey boo, are you wanting to have a new reality, a shift where you have the SP, the job, the money, the health, whatever it is, that whatever has manifested it, what makes it come alive in your life, in your personal reality, is your real personality. Stay with me because this is really diving into something that a lot of you don't necessarily want to grapple with. And I know how it feels because it's like knowing that there is this larger part of yourself that is going to be the part that makes things happen, that is the prime mover, that allows you to be that unapologetic, leveled up version of yourself. That's exciting, but it's also a very scary prospect. And if that's you, I totally get it. And we've all been there. And if you have felt that, just drop me in the comments, because I know how that can feel to take that bigger step forward and really feel in charge. And that the version of yourself, the way that you call it, the state of consciousness or your mind state or whatever it is, that you've been hanging out in it a long time, and you know that it's time for you to part ways with it. And in a way, it's like breaking up with somebody and you don't quite know how to put it to them. You're still attached to them in enough of a way that you can't really let go of them, even though you know the relationship, that whatever made it exciting has died out, and the relationship is no longer the right one for you to stay in. And that applies whether it's a friend, a bestie, or whether it's a romantic relationship. And we've outgrown it in a sense, or it's no longer something that fits into where we are in our life, and it's very difficult to be able to move on from it. And this is what being in a state that no longer is working for you. You're, in a sense, we keep kind of hiding out in it. And using it, it becomes a handy way of not taking the bigger steps. Whatever the old state was about, still has enough of a hold. We're just still attached to it enough that it's like the feeling of, no, I can't possibly do this. In a sense, it's like saying my old state won't let me, or it's very much like that. And if you know what that feels like, it's conflicting after a while, and you're probably feeling that little tug of war, not so little tug of war inside yourself. I really want to do this, but I can't because I'm still like this. And this is where I'm at. This is how I am. But it's not, because as your essential, I am is your essential self. And that really is the root, your I am. That is God, the divine. That is your ultimate true self. But if you're talking about the state, it might be being a kick-ass entrepreneur. It might be some other kind of role that you want to play, somebody who travels around the world, who wants to explore things, who wants to break through some old barriers and work with new ideas, or whatever it is that you want to do in a bigger and more exciting way, or level up to in terms of how much money you're making, or whatever it is, that it requires that bigger framework in your life, that more exciting push for you to be excited about it, to allow it to move you rather than sinking back. It's kind of like being a couch potato in the old state. I'm just going to sit here and binge my snacks and hang out and watch movies all day. And that's great as a kind of an in-between relaxing. But if we're using that, that's a different kind of relaxing. But if we're relaxing or sinking back into it, then it's not serving us. And it's time to really let that state go. And yeah, it can be a very scary idea. We even get kind of, sentimental about it. And this is one of the more challenging aspects sometimes of deciding that you want to be or that you are a conscious manifester. You can know all the ways that it works. You can know all the things that Neville has taught. Stuffing your head with all the information that you've read in Neville Goddard, or that you've heard in Neville Goddard related groups and communities on social media. You have heard many teachers about the law of assumption or the law of attraction, or any other cosmic law about manifesting. And nonetheless, even though you know and you're exploring these things, you're doing the techniques like revision, and I remember where you're looking back from a future point, the congratulatory conversation where you're imagining your friends and your work colleagues celebrating your promotion or whatever it is, or that you're leaving to go to a bigger job somewhere, or start your own company. But nonetheless, we can be saying all these things and trying this. And this is why a lot of you, or occasionally I should say really, will post or comment, oh, I've tried all these things. I've been doing this for years. And I've tried it, and I think in this way, and I just say, I'm not attached to any of it. Whatever it is, it's going to come to me. And you still haven't got what you want to manifest. Your desire still has not arisen in your life. It has not come alive in your life. You have had no convergence with it, whatever. And you keep shaking your head, scratching your head. Why isn't this showing up? And I see this frustration out there. I understand how that can happen, how that manifests, where you are on the bridge of incidence and you're feeling that you've connected with as much as you think you can. There's a difference. It's like, this is as far as I think this is going to go. And then afterwards, like, well, I've given it all this time and I don't see it. But really, there is no time. Remember, time is an illusion. So whenever it happens, you have it. You've already got it. It's believe and ye shall receive. This absolutely is the truth. This is the greatest teaching. But if underneath it all, you have not totally entered into the feeling, the knowing that you have, or chosen it enough, and have let go of any attachment to your present state of mind, your mindset, your state of being, your state of consciousness, however you like to call it. But unless you have 100,000 bazillion % let go of that, and in a way that you have a carefree attitude about it, you're not weighed down by any details about it, about the how or the when or the where. And I know that myself and other teachers on YouTube here have often talked about this. And this is still, it's like I still see what a common problem this is for people who have a very good, clear understanding, and maybe this is you, or maybe you've experienced this with someone who the understanding, the knowledge base is absolutely there. You've been, doing your homework on it. And you maybe have done various group programs or other programs, courses, whatever. And that's all great. That's all to the good. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But there is a time when the best thing is to kind of toss away the rule book, the playbook, and just color outside the lines and really let go. Because if that part of you is not entirely on board and letting go of who you were and becoming detached or non-attached to it, so that state is literally gone. You are not that person. Your timeline, your reality has all left the building. That old you has left the building. It's not there anymore. And you are that new person with that new experience. But you have to really feel that. You have to let it become your personal reality. There is no other way for it to show up. So what we call miracle is your inner clarity of being that new person. That's why I have said in other videos and posts, miracle is a anagram or a rearrangement of the letters of I'm clear. It's the same letters. So think of it that way. That's a miracle is really a very natural occurrence to one who understands this. If you understand this, the idea of what seems like a miracle is simply, oh yeah, I get it. This is how it works. This is how it is. It may look like a miracle to somebody else. Oh my God, out of thin air this came. But when you understand that this is the nature of manifesting, the way things show up, the convergences, synchronicities, seeming coincidences, that you are the connecting point, your state, your consciousness, your I amness is the connecting, converging point of all these chaotic seeming things that come from within you, really, the universe. This is the foundation of your personal reality, creating your new personal, your new real personality, creating your personal reality. And I have talked about this at various times in various ways. I have 300 videos, pieces of free content here on my channel in terms of all these aspects of manifesting. And if you want to look through those, that's great. It'll give you some input on that. But I don't know that I've ever really talked about it quite this way before. And by the way, if you are interested in going really deep with me on this in a one-on-one setting, the link for that is in the description box for the channel, and you can go there and find that and check that out under oneminutemanifesting.com/services. And but if you want to get that deeper understanding, and this is the number one thing, just sitting with that, just allowing that, just taking the time right here, right now to begin to see that. And you may have had glimpses of that disconnecting from your old self and letting that go and connecting or becoming attached. And I almost don't even like to use attached and detached. and non-attached, because I find that, because while those terms are very valid, and certainly we talk about it in Hinduism, any Eastern philosophy this comes from, we talk about that in terms of Hinduism or Buddhism or any others, or Taoism. We understand that the idea of what you could call detachment or non-attachment is about not being attached or not being cold and distant. You still have your loving, beautiful relationships with your loved ones, but you are not, you're not caught up in how things go. You're not attached to outcomes. You have to be able to say, I'm not attached to the outcome. And this is also true of what you want to manifest. If you are that new person and you are feeling that freedom, that inner freedom in what you want to manifest, because that is part of that leaving your old self behind. When I see people saying, I've been trying to manifest this thing, and I'm doing all the things, I'm doing all these techniques, and I'm still not seeing it, there is attachment there to an outcome. You can't be saying you're doing that, but you're still, if you're looking for it, you're still attached to what you want it to be. So the idea of non-attachment is a very good one, but it can be a very confusing one, because when we talk about not being attached to it, we can say, well, I just let the idea go. But yeah, that part of you is still looking for it. Then you're attached. So you have to be very comfortable with the idea that in being this new version of yourself and being this leveled up person who's no longer at all the person who even wanted the thing in the first place, in order to get it, you want to not want it, which is kind of an odd way of saying it, but think about it. Hang in here. You want to not want it, but you don't want to, if you're coming from that place of, I don't see it, there's still lack there. There's still a poverty mindset. There's all the space there. Whereas if you know you have it and you've decided you have it, you can say, then I don't need to go looking out there for anything, because I have it. And I may not see it in the visible world, but in my interpersonal reality, my real personality is experiencing it, has it. And I'm feeling all kinds of wonderful about it. And that's the best. If you want to feel that, if you want to feel anything about it, feel that you have it, so you can actually receive it in your new personal reality, for it to show up at the right time, in the right place, brought to you by whoever is right for you to bring it to you, without you deciding it should be this person. But you're being moved to be where you need to be. You don't even need to think about it. And to give you a simple example, I mentioned a few weeks ago when I was helping my friend who was relocating, and I went looking for travel wheelies for her to take on the plane. She needed a couple of them and did not want to pay an arm and a leg for them. And she did not want to be running all over Walmart or wherever looking for them at the last minute. And I had that, I was led to feeling that she had them, that it would be easy to turn off at a particular little shopping plaza, go into a wonderful thrift store, and bingo. Within minutes, I walked out with 2 fabulous cases for her at a ridiculous fraction of what you normally pay for them. So I'm using that kind of little playful example there because it can always be like that. You're led. Your intuition gets very on. It's at a very high vibe to bring you to where you need to be. And if you don't feel that happening and you're not allowing that to happen, then you're in a controlling position and you're feeling lack and you're feeling attachment to an old state. So it's time to say goodbye to that. That's a true non-attachment. You're not dragging that, any piece of it, with you. We may think it's gone, and a lot of times it is. But if it's not, and there is part of it, it is going to give you that kind of grief. And that's what you want to walk away from, just like you would in any relationship. And sometimes we don't. We put up with jobs that we don't want because we have a fear we're not going to get our benefits anymore, or whatever it is about a job that's holding you there. Or we're afraid we'll never get the income when we shift into another state, that a better job with the better prospects, better money, better career path is there, or starting your own business or whatever it is. There it is. But you have to be truly letting the other part of you go. It's letting that part die. It's gone. It's letting the old man, as we say, die. The ego. If you want to call it the ego, but really it's the connection to the old state. It's the attachment there. And just being in this very blithe feeling. It's good. It's happened. And that's why Neville called it sublime determination. And I love that phrase because it's you're determined, you're confident, you got what it takes. And at the same time, you're just a sublime feeling is a very yummy, delightful feeling. You know, it's like when you've eaten something really sublime or had a wonderful drink and it's really, I just feel so sublime. It's, that anything else that you don't need, think of the word sublimated. We push away. We have to back it off. Anything you don't need, don't want, is gone. You're done with. I shouldn't say even don't want. I'm letting that go. That you're done with. It's gone. And really enjoying the new feeling of who you are, despite the fact that there is no visible evidence at the moment. ATM, at the moment. And that is the key, because otherwise you're going to be stuck trying to do it and feeling imposter syndrome. Who am I to have this? I don't deserve this. I don't feel this is right. I can do this. This is what comes up when there's still attachment to the old state, or the old state is still attached to you and you're wanting to shake it off. Shake it off. And that part of it also is what drags people down when they want to be leveling up. And that's where you're hiding from yourself. And yeah, it can make you feel really vulnerable. That's why we want to shrink back and hide. Or feel embarrassed or guilty or not validated, not being approved of. What are they going to think if I get this? What's my partner going to think? Where's it going to take me? How am I going to end up? Oh, yeah. And that's what starts to happen. So that fullness isn't there. That absolute ease and enjoyment of no longer being that. And that has to come from within. Otherwise, it's not feeling that true, deep connection to God, to the divine in you, to yourself as a facet of the diamond that is God. And that is really the key here. And Bashar has said all pain is the result of resistance to the natural self. I love that term. The natural self, that's your authentic you. That's yourself, your inner authority, your real personality. Because if you've ever noticed or read about anyone who is like Nisargadatta or any of the other great, they're called great, in Hinduism, they often call them great beings because they totally were immersed in the divine, no matter what went on in their life. And they had no resistance. So things where God was always speaking through them, through their actions and their words, that they, a lot of people would be, wow, they're such a free being, because they absolutely were not fettered down. And no, it won't make you, if we were all like that, no, it would not make you a weirdo that people would look funny at if you were walking down the street. No. But we'd have that inner feeling because you would play whatever the role is you're supposed to be playing, the job that you have or the position that you have, whatever, the career, whatever it is, the business that you own. It would all be fine, but you would still know that it's all moving through you and your inner mind is very spacious. It's not crammed up with a lot of what if they think this and what if that, and there's no static in there. A lot of spaciousness. And this is a major part because otherwise all of that is, it starts to, the fear and the that I was mentioning before, it just becomes paralyzing because we're overthinking the whole thing. It's analysis paralysis. And that also pulls things back. And that emotional stuckness. So this is part of it, and of that not seeing it happen. And then with the anxiety that kicks in, then your cortisol goes up. And how, if you've ever experienced that, you're having to binge all the time, something, and have distractions all the time when that starts to flare up. And that's constantly looking and looking and looking. So you want to stop hiding so you can attain what you say you want to attain. But remember, you already are God. You're already the I am. That's already there. And it's like the poet Rumi said, we're looking for the barriers we have against that so that we can peel them back, tear them down, walk away from them. And yeah, I was often like that. If something amazing was manifesting, it would make me uncomfortable. Absolutely, I used to feel that. And I'd want to push it away. Or you get that meh feeling. I don't know. Because you're inwardly thinking you're not going to get the approval of somebody close to you. What are they going to think? All that stuff. There's embarrassment. There's worry. There's the what ifs. All of that. And yeah, it can be like a protection or whatever, but finally put that to rest. Just must put that to rest. And as Bashar said, don't fear the idea and run away from it. Prefer another idea and run toward it. So does it mean you're going to change up whatever it was you're desiring? No, but you can see it in another light. You can see it in another way, that it might have been something you overlooked about it, or a different type of opportunity, or a different something else about it, or something entirely different that might excite you even more. And since, anxiety and excitement, both have the same pathway in the body. So why not shift from anxiety and the feeling of separateness from God to the excitement as God, allowing that excitement. And otherwise, you're constantly tearing down what you want to build up. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Otherwise, it's all just resisting. It's resisting. So you want to be persisting in that sublime spirit of determination. And relax. Know that it's there for you. And that is why Neville talked about moving out of the shallows. This is a statement of his that I particularly like. And he said, it's time to move out of the shallows into the deep of life. But what does that actually mean? It sounds like, okay, I've been playing in the shallow waters. I've been hiding out of my old state. It's time to move on into the deeper aspect of life. But think of it another way, and be even clearer, stay with me, is the shallows would be like your old state that kind of is keeping you separate. Whereas the deep of life would be, my Father and I are one. My Father is greater than I. Allowing God, being in that lovely, determined state, which is also a form of allowing and surrendering. That upward kind of surrender to allow God to do all the work to bring it to you. Father, you always hear me. My desires are your desires. Remember, the desire is brought to you through your connection to God. God speaks to us through the medium of our desires. Neville said that. And that's such a fabulous quote, because it means that desire is of the Father. And play with those ideas, that if that is all connected, desires of the Father, God is telling you, go for it. Through even having the desire, there's nothing to remain attached to. It's okay. You have decided to be that different person. So I know it can be tough, and you think, well, okay, I'll just put a toe in that deep water, when really what you want to do is dive off the high diving board, jump in. It's okay. The water's fine. Love you so much, Boo. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated for you, please give it a like, share it, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. 300 pieces of free content and are available to you. And love you so much, Boo. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next video.